संधान. All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.
Hi everybody. Today this is Professor Vispi Bajikasad, Principal in charge Arts and Commerce College Chauvisi, Assistant Professor in English, and she is Urvashi Dave.
I myself Urvashi H. Dave. I am lecturer in Arts and Commerce College Chauvisi, and we are going to deliver lecture on the topic some important isms of post 1945 period.
So this is the topic. First slide. Some important isms of post 1945 period. So these are the points which we are going to deal today. Again, I repeat, important isms of post 1945 period. The topics are feminism and gender criticism, structuralism and post-structuralism, post-colonialism, eco-criticism, and the last is new historicism and cultural studies. So I would request Urvashi madam to start with the topic.
Sir has told us what we are going to deal with, but we will begin with the timeline of these isms. Slide please, sir. Some important isms of post 1945 period. There have appeared a large number of innovative literary theories and methods of critical analysis since World War I and especially since 1960s. Following is the table of approximate time when these modes became prominent in literary criticism. The timeline of isms from 1940s onwards. 1940s to 1950s, new criticism, phenomenological criticism. 1960s, modern forms of feminist criticism, structuralist criticism, stylistics. Next. 1970s, theory of anxiety of influence, deconstruction, discourse analysis, various forms of reader response criticism, reception theory, semiotics, speech act theory. 1980s, cultural studies, dialogue criticism, gender criticism, new historicism, queer theory. 1990s, eco-criticism, post-colonial studies. So these were the prominent theories of during this timeline. Now I would like to request Vispi sir to explain feminism and gender criticism.
Yes, the very important first point is feminism and gender criticism. Slide. So feminism in general means a collection of movements and ideologies aimed at defining, establishing and defending equal political, economic and social rights for women. I repeat, it is to define, to establish and to defend equal political, economic and social rights for women. An Oxford English Dictionary defines a feminist as an advocate or supporter of the rights and equality of women. Thus, feminism includes seeking to establish equal opportunities for women in education and employment. So as we have seen that it is equality related to women in the field of, as far as political is concerned, socialization is concerned. So women's equality was at utmost position. Now we will deal with origin of feminism. Now origin of feminism, the French philosopher Charles Fourier is known as the originator of the word feminism in 1837. So it was Charles who originated this word in 1837. The word feminism and feminist first appeared in France and Netherlands in 1872, in Great Britain in 1840s, and in Oxford English Dictionary in 1894. So feminist theory aims to understand gender inequality and focuses on gender politics. It is very important this. It focuses on gender politics, power relations, and it is also related to sexuality as far as women's are concerned. In the late 20th century, various feminists began to argue that gender roles are socially constructed. These are socially constructed, and it is impossible to generalize women's experience across culture and histories. Thus, according to Pramod Nair, I would like to quote here Pramod Nair. According to him, feminist literary and cultural theory draws a link between the presentation of women in art and the real material condition in which they live. The presentation in art and the real situation in which the women live.
So here I would like to point something.
Yeah.
So in general we can say that the feminism is divided in three forms, in three eras. Like it has been called like first wave of feminism,
Yes.
second wave of feminism, and the third wave of feminism. In the first wave we can say the late 1700s to early 1900s.
90s,
And if you
1900.
remember, the Mary Wollstonecraft is the name, famous name during that period. Second wave early 1960s to the late 1970s.
70s.
And there we can say Simone de Beauvoir. I think you have mentioned
Yes,
somewhere.
yes, I
it
have
is.
also mentioned.
And the third wave is early 1919 to the till the present
Till
day.
present day.
So in general, feminism is divided among three waves, and feminist criticism, right, divided among.
A very good point given by Uroshi madam. Now, I would like to go for the relationship between the gender studies and feminism. As far as feminism is concerned, gender studies is there. So, I will try to show that relationship. The first point is that gender studies have an obvious overlap with feminist criticism. This is very important. Wherever we will deal with gender studies, it overlaps with feminist criticism. Now, I would like to quote philosopher Simone de Beauvoir. Philosopher Simone de Beauvoir said, "One is not born a woman, one becomes one." I repeat, one is not born a woman, one becomes one. This view proposes that in gender studies, the term gender should be used to refer to the social and cultural constructions of masculinities and feminities. So, I would like to concentrate more on one is not born a woman, one becomes one.
That is what I was asking you. So can you
Okay.
what this quotation means? Like, one is not born woman, one becomes one.
Yes, as far as feminism and gender studies is concerned, I will try to explain in a very normal way. One becomes one means they are not. The most important part is that in general, everybody is born normal. Even girls, they are born normal. But the society behaves with them in an abnormal way. I will explain in details. See, one becomes one means they are born normally, but the society behaves with them in an abnormal way. Example, you don't do this. These are not the traits of a girl. A girl should not do this, a girl should do this, etc. So, there is a kind of distinction created by the society, especially for women. And this is the saddest part. Even you look at the behavior of media, how the woman is presented. One becomes one means this. If we see the history and even in the modern world, a kind of competition is placed. A kind of competition is there, and the winner who wins that competition is allowed to marry the princess or that particular girl. Here I would like to quote, or I would like to give example from Mahabharata, that the winner can marry the girl, that the thing, a girl like a thing, as if it is a thing, an object. It can be available in the market. Example, the Swayamvar of Draupadi in Mahabharata. Or you can even take, I will go for the movie also. You can even take a movie like Pardesh, where Kabaddi competition is there. And the person who is going to win can marry that heroine of that movie. So, women are presented as an object. They are seen as an object. There is always a distinction created by the society.
See, here I would like to point something. We all have heard about the Delhi rape case, and if you remember, the afterwards what happened, the many of the politicians, they have like statements given by many of the politicians, and they were like, she should not have gone with his friend. She should not have that kind of dressing.
She should not carry she should have dropped that idea of going into that bus.
She should have made him his brother. So all this is distinction between man.
So that's what I am telling, that society behaves with them in an abnormal way.
Yeah, that is abnormal.
There's a kind of distinction. You do this, a girl should do this, a girl shouldn't do that.
Once whatever happens with the girl, that is because she is girl.
Yes.
So all the blame
comes on the girl.
girl.
So here I have given two examples as far as incident from Mahabharata, that is the Swayamvar of Draupadi and Pardesh movie. So here it is very important to see how women is constructed in the frame of society. Example, I would like to give one more example, that even in advertisement on TV, if there is any ad, example, take the ad of oil or a soap, beauty soap, women is presented as she is shown like that as a symbol of good, beautiful and ugly. She is presented as an ideal mother, ideal wife, etc. So this is called gender studies in relation to feminism. This is called socially constructed. Society has constructed a kind of framework specially for women, but according to the point of view, guidelines created and written by the patriarchal society,
Yes.
The patriarchal society, they decide what to do and what not to do.
That is the gender criticism.
And Urvashi madam, I would like to share one more point. Now let me throw more light on Simone de Beauvoir and existential feminism from Pramod Nayar's Contemporary Literature and Cultural Theory. De Beauvoir argued in her most famous work, The Second Sex, published in French in 1949, English translation 1984, that women were always the negative of the man. Is very important. They were always the negative of the man, where man was the ideal, the norm, and the woman the deviant or the other. Women were measured by the standard of man. This is what society gives to women, even in the modern society. And measured by the standard of man and found inferior. Women were found inferior, are found inferior, and they are gonna found in the future as inferior in compared to men. This is the process of othering, where women will always be seen not as an independent, not as a unique, but as a veteran, a flawed version of the male. Thus, Simone de Beauvoir's major insight was that there is, quote, no existence of a woman. A woman is constructed as such by man and society, and thus Simone de Beauvoir says that one is not born, but one becomes one. So this was the point. Now, I would like to go for gender criticism. Gender criticism in general analyzes differing conceptions of gender and their role in writing, reception, subject matter, and evolution of literary works. It is like a gender studies which includes women's studies concerning women, feminism, gender, and politics. Some more points that feminist theory aims to understand gender inequality. This is very important. It aims to understand gender inequality and focuses on gender politics, power relation, and sexuality. These three I had already discussed: gender politics, power relations, and sexuality. In the 20th century, various feminists began to argue that gender roles are socially contrasted, and that it is impossible to generalize women's experience across cultures and histories. Thus, these were the points related to feminism and gender studies. Now, I would like to discuss the second most important point of our lecture, that is structuralism and post-structuralism. So, the second point is structuralism and post-structuralism. It is like structuralism, it is like building, and post-structuralism, it is like deconstruction type of thing. So, Jonathan Kuller, in his book on bards,